Shopify Flow, let's go. Yeah, Flow Runs now provide more info. In the Shopify Flow Runs list view so you can more effectively troubleshoot any issues.
Hello there. Pardon the interruption. I'm here to tell you that your personal AI-powered assistant, Sidekick, is rolling out in English to merchants around the globe.
Send holiday emails with new templates in Shopify email.
This is quite a marvellous update indeed. Now you can guarantee quoted prices by locking the price until the order is complete, even when prices automatically update in draft orders.
Hello, Earthlings. Accept contactless payments on your phone with Tap to Pay.
All right, welcome back, fellow Shopify entrepreneurs, to Editions 25. Can you believe that intro Shopify made us? My name is PC. I'm a fellow Shopify entrepreneur and Shopify educator, and I will be your guide for this year's Shopify Editions Winter 25 edition. Welcome and welcome back, everybody. We have quite an extraordinary looking editions this time around. And as we can see, it looks quite boring, or is it? So as we know or may not know, every summer and every winter, twice a year, Shopify releases something called editions. Once in the summer called summer editions, once in the winter called winter edition. And every single edition is basically a showcase for 150 plus updates, improvements, new products rolling out, new features, new things to get excited for, new AI, new trials, everything Shopify entrepreneurs need to know about the platform that they run their entire business on. And these are all of the updates that are introduced for this Shopify Editions Winter 25. Every editions has a very unique theme. Sometimes they're flashy, sometimes they have a lot of AI, sometimes they have a lot of simplicity or glam. But as we can see, the Winter Editions 25 theme is boring, the boring edition. And so on this channel, we talk a lot about Shopify. We look at all the updates. We do monthly changelog update videos. We definitely cover editions in detail. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at all of the updates coming to Shopify that impact you. So editions are usually the same format. They have just this massive landscape of all the individual updates. Some of them are important, some of them are not so important, some of them are repeated information, some of them are updates on old information. As we said, there's an edition that comes out every summer, every winter, and there's also changelog updates that come up almost weekly. If you're interested in any Shopify updates, consider subscribing to the channel and joining the free community, as we're all Shopify entrepreneurs here trying to chase the same dream. And as the platform, Shopify changes so quickly, you really need to stay on top of all these changes. That's what I find really helps maintain my personal competitive advantage in my Shopify stores. So as we can see here, the editions format is similar, as we can break down the major headings on the left side. There's online, there's retail, there's checkout, there's marketing, there's wholesale, global, shipping, operations, finance, there's developer stuff that we're scrolling into now. Sometimes there's AI, sometimes there's other things, but basically this is 150 plus updates that Shopify has implemented in the past 6 months since last summer editions. This is everything that's coming to the platform now and some things to look forward to as we approach summer editions in the summer. Two things that I don't cover on this channel, as I'm a fellow Shopify entrepreneur and Shopify educator, is I don't cover anything when it comes to developers. So all of this developer stuff with GraphQL and APIs and these stuff, I don't really cover this. So if you're looking into that, this is not the best video for you. Also, I don't talk about Plus on this channel. So anything B2B, anything wholesale right here, I'm not going to talk about. But everything else, finance, operations, shipping, global, marketing, checkout, retail, and online, you can be sure we're going to be looking into this, and we look into this constantly on this channel. So sit back, relax, put some earbuds in, and let's get started on Shopify Winter Editions 25, the boring edition. So what the heck was that TV that I was showing earlier? Well, this is the theme of the edition. So basically all the time in edition, Shopify has all these massive categories here on the left side to give us a strong heading. And then at the top, they always have the top updates, the most important things, the most impactful updates. And that's what I was looking for on the TV. On the left side here, we have this man. Who is this man? So this is Mr. Glenn Coe. This is the vice president update of product at Shopify. And so he always introduces Shopify Editions because this is a 150 plus update on the product and all the products within Shopify's ecosystem. We see Shopify Summer Editions here, 23. This was a big update because it really introduced a lot of AI for the first time. We can see Mr. Glenn Coates on the left side here in 23 editions, and this is how it looked. Shopify Editions Winter 24. We see Glenn's face down here. This is another update that came out last winter. This is Shopify Edition Summer 24 Unified. Here's Mr. Glenn Coates as well. And we had these fun little bubbles that we played around with and we looked into. If you're looking at any of these updates or you want to get caught up for any of the previous editions, check out my channel, check out the playlist for all the editions walkthroughs. And before we get into the business, like maybe more boring update, we have this not boring button, of course, which we absolutely have to click.
Hello, Earthlings. Accept contactless payments on your phone.
This is what introduced us to the boring TV. It's actually really fun because all these buttons work really
Hello,
well.
Earthlings.
And every single channel is a different update. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I actually kind of want to watch this entire thing. So I might make another video, maybe subscribe if you're interested in that. I'm just going to walk through all of these updates in a separate video because there's a lot of AI and there's a ton of effort that went into this boring, not so boring TV update. They've never done something like this before. And so I definitely want to check it out. But for now, let's get started on all of the big updates that are affecting you and your Shopify business. Mr. Glenn Coates here on the left side is talking about something. And so a few days ago, he released what this editions is. This editions, or what seems to be a consistent trend with these editions, is that the summer editions seem to be a much bigger deal, and the winter editions seem to be a little bit of a pulled back effort. So Glenn was saying in his video the other day that this edition's called Boring Editions, doesn't look too boring, but the overall theme is that in this editions, there aren't any spectacular brand new releases like AI that we had a few years ago in summer 23 editions, but this editions is very heavily focused on patching the current systems. As we know with Shopify, they have a ton of products within the Shopify ecosystem, and a lot of those products are first introduced to a very small segment of plans, a very small segment of languages or a specific country. And so Glenn was saying that this editions is more about patching those existing products, making sure they work correctly and effectively with each other. All of these products are individual products, and if they don't really work together, it's really difficult. And so if you're running Shopify stores like I do, we hit those limitations quite a bit. Maybe we want to use the translate and adapt app, but it can't translate this thing. Or maybe we want to use a draft order, but it can't create something. Or maybe we just want to use a discount, but it doesn't work with subscriptions. And so this is the overall theme of the Boring Edition Winter 25 Shopify editions here. We're going to see a lot of effort on improving current products and less effort on introducing brand new things. So this is really good for learning because we know about these systems that are in place and we can really learn how to use them well and patch all the limitations, a lot of the limitations that are previously in place, and get ready for summer editions when that comes around. The very first update that we see here at the top of the list is about draft orders, working more effortlessly with functions, with bundles, and with checkout extensions. So again, as we can see here right away, the biggest update isn't a new AI feature. It isn't a new brand new product. It's a previous product that is working better with other Shopify products. So draft orders, as we know, is a way to create an order for a customer. Maybe a customer left something at cart, or maybe they had an error. You can create an order for the customer using a draft order. You can then send that customer an email with the draft order and they will be able to check out. This shows a lot of customer advocacy, right? However, draft orders have a lot of limitations. And so if you're using things like functions, that's something developers use in terms of APIs, bundles of products, and checkout extensions with checkout blocks and checkout extensibility, draft orders won't work. If you went to your store and you have bundles, you have functions, you have checkout blocks or extensibility in your checkout, you would see the checkout extensions and the payment options that are supposed to work. However, with draft orders, this wouldn't work all the time. So things like hiding different payment methods when they're supposed to be there, hiding or displaying different shipping options when they're supposed to be there, all these little things that happen in the online store's checkout that weren't available in the draft orders is now the biggest update that Shopify is telling us. Draft orders functionality works now with functions, with bundles, with checkout extensions. And this comes in a time where Shopify is really adding a lot of ability to, more so than ever before, to add customizations to your checkout for a lot of plans. The second top update that Shopify announcing here is Shopify POS works with bundles, retail customer segments, and customer meta fields. So if you've been following my channel for a little bit, we know that we do a once a month Shopify changelog update video. And a lot of the information put together in the Shopify editions does come from the changelog quite a bit, because not that many people look at the changelog, but I think it's extremely valuable information in the changelog. So 150 plus updates, some of them are new, some of them are not, some of them are added functionality, and some of them are repeat information from the changelog that we already know about if you look at the changelog every month like I do. If you're interested in those kind of updates, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But this update is talking about the Shopify POS. POS stands for point of sale, point of service, working now effortlessly with Shopify bundles. It's how you bundle products together into one line item. Retail customer segments. Retail customer segments was just announced in our December update, which I published a few days ago, where Shopify released some customer specific, retail specific segments to help with your marketing efforts for your local customer base, and customer meta fields. So all of this is now being added more seamlessly to the POS. Like again, we said, this is adding to products that had limitations to make sure everything works together. So previously, it seems like the Shopify POS wouldn't work with bundles, and the customer segmentation on this POS was a little limited, and customer meta fields were not able to be collected on the POS. And now that's all being added to the POS for our in-person location. The third top update here is the Shopify Search and Discovery app works with combined listings and category meta fields. So there's a lot of great keywords here, and watching these update videos can really spur your knowledge and continue your learning in Shopify when you're growing your stores. So the Shopify Search and Discovery is an app made and developed by Shopify. It's an app that has a bunch of functionality within the same app. So it does actually 4 or 5 different things all within one app. It's free. You're probably maybe already using it. If you're not, it's a way that you can work the back end of your store to influence what products are displayed and at what time. Things like adding keywords, things like adding synonyms to search results, things like adding related products, making sure when somebody searches something in your store, 0 products never display. We never want that because the customer will bounce if that happens. So the Shopify Search and Discovery now works with the Combined Listings app. The Combined Listings app, this is why it's good to watch these editions videos. The Combined Listings app was an app that was introduced last editions and summer editions. It's an app only for Plus at this time. So we don't cover much Plus at the moment, but I feel like the Combined Listings app will trickle down the pipeline a little bit more to more plans other than Plus. The Combined Listings app is basically an app that allows you more customization when it comes to individual products and individual variants. So instead of having one product and a media gallery of your media images for all of your variants, one option that the Combined Listings app does is it gives you the option to put individual media bays per variant. So it's an interesting app. And then category meta fields as well. We're seeing a lot of meta fields already. So meta objects and meta fields. So if you don't really know what meta fields or meta objects are, stay tuned. You'll learn a lot about it in this editions apparently. This is an interesting top update here that is always good to see. And it's quite often talked about at these editions. And it says we've increased loading speeds across cart, checkout, and the admin. So the cart, the checkout, and the admin are just Shopify's products, how that product works for you. And it's something that you can't really control. You can control your loading speed on your site, for example, by looking at your speed analytics and your speed scores. But the cart and the checkout and the admin, the speed of which these are used is kind of completely out of control. So Shopify is saying that they've increased the loading across the cart, increased the checkout, and increased the speed of the admin with all these new features coming in. The checkout is an interesting one because Shopify always plugs how their checkout is the best in the game, the best in the e-commerce game, with Shop Pay and pre-filled things and one-page checkout, and they're always kind of plugging this thing. And then maybe one of the biggest updates that is going to come in this update is that they are rolling out Sidekick, markets, new analytics, customer account extension. This is a really interesting top update here on the bottom where they're saying they're rolling out Sidekick, markets, new analytics, and customer account extensions. So Sidekick is Shopify's biggest AI tool. Shopify Sidekick was introduced in summer 2023 editions with the huge onset of Shopify Magic and a bunch of Shopify AI. Sidekick has been in pre-release mode ever since. And so now it seems like that Sidekick is finally coming to a subset of English-speaking merchants, which is really great to see. You'll see that right on your admin. We'll get to that in a bit. Then there's Markets. Markets was talked about last editions and summer 24 editions, and how they're basically revamping the market screen to really holistically bring together B2B, even though we're not talking about B2B on this channel, but redoing how markets looks and combining your markets with your point of sale, point of service, and your B2B so that all comes together much more fluently. Then the new analytics is interesting to see here because the new analytics was also talked about last editions. It took a few months for it to get rolled out, and now it seems like it's actually finally rolled out. And then something that's completely new is the customer account extensions. I haven't seen anything like this in the changelog or anything yet, but it's talking about app extensions to customize how the customer account pages look. This is a page that really you don't really customize, you don't really look into as a business owner, but now there's going to be apps and extensions to add more functionality to the customer account pages, which is really interesting to see. So those are the top 5 updates that Shopify is talking about. So let's get into the rest that they have to offer here. So this is our first heading, online update. So this first update is a little interesting. It says the configure combined listings for search in the search and discovery app. And we have this little detail of what it says. You can choose if parent or child products should appear in search and product recommendations with Shopify search and discovery. Now the wording here is a little confusing for me personally, just because the combined listings is a separate app and it's only for Plus, and it does things with variants and it does things with products. So I'm not entirely sure if this is talking about a brand new section within the search and discovery within the customizable search area. It sort of looks like that, but the combined listings app is a completely different app and it's a Plus only app. So we'll see in time what that means. But if you're not using the Shopify search and discovery app, it's a way to really tweak and optimize your product listings and how products and when products are shown on your website. There's a lot of power behind that. All right, so next we have meta objects everywhere. It says easily access meta objects like featured reviews and brand ambassadors across your entire theme using the dynamic source picker in the theme editor. Okay, so a meta object is basically a group of meta fields, and the groups could be product reviews, brand ambassadors, lookbooks, store location, anything you really want. And the way you connect this to a specific area of your store is with the dynamic source picker. Those things, there's nothing new. Meta fields and meta objects aren't the most introductory thing that you should be working on. So if you're starting a new Shopify store or you're brand new to Shopify, you don't really have to worry about this for now. There's a lot of other things you can be optimizing and working on. But to introduce the topic, meta objects and meta fields are a way to gather very specific pieces of information or display very specific pieces of information in a very specific area compared to what a template of a page can do for you. So it's about collecting a specific piece of information and then publishing it with a dynamic source picker in the theme editor. And so we can see here, this is a picture of the theme editor. The dynamic source button is this logo right here. And then if we click this, we now have this option that says meta objects, and it has all of our groups. We can add more definitions. We can search our groups for more things like that. So this small little update here, it says more automatic discounts. This was published in the changelog for our December update a few days ago. It just says if you're using automatic app-based discounts. The limit previously, if you're using app-based discounts, this doesn't include discounts that are made on the platform, but if you're using app-based discounts, there was a limit of 5, which is now increased to 25. You can check out my recent monthly changelog update for that. Even if an update doesn't directly apply to your store or your situation, it's really important, I find personally, to just continue learning about all these topics, these keywords, these products, how they're working together, how they're improving, because even if you're not using the update or you're using the product at this time, you might in the future. So it's very interesting to just continuously learn about these things. And this is a perfect example for this update here in the corner. It just says accurate bundle inventory, but it talks about managed markets. So managed markets was actually one of the biggest updates in last editions, where they changed the name from from Markets Pro to managed markets. Markets, everybody has market settings on their Shopify stores. One step above markets is called managed markets. It was previously called Markets Pro. Now it's called managed markets. And just a little update here for those using managed markets, because it is a paid service. There is accurate bundle inventory that shows customers if a bundle is out of stock before checkout. So this is an interesting update that was in their top updates. Markets is rolling out soon. It's interesting how the update says that it's rolling out soon. It's not that it's rolling out now. So this is kind of how additions work. But basically, they are revamping markets as talked about last editions. Markets will be available to all merchants over the coming months, enabling custom buyer experiences for retail, B2B, international. So instead of your markets just being maybe the countries that you sell to, Shopify is kind of redefining the way markets looks on your admin and definitely the way markets works. And they're bringing together your retail point of service locations if you have them, B2B. B2B is a plus feature, of course, and then your international countries. And that's going to be the new definition for markets instead of just the countries you serve. And it's all going to come together in a nice new admin slot called markets. So this is going to be coming up for all merchants in the coming months. This is a nice little update here to the UI. So it says the streamlined themed editor has been updated. So the theme editor features a more compact setting sidebar. So you can easily find what you're looking for. As you can see, it looks a lot more compact, a lot more crisp here in this image example. The theme editor is usually this big, long, scrolling option with big chunks of text and features that sometimes endlessly go down. And so they're just revamping the way that looks. It's a fun little small update right in between these two massive updates here, but I think it's worth drawing a little bit of attention to. So there's reporting for bundles. So this is a perfect example of the theme of this edition. It's combining two things. It's combining Shopify bundles and it's also combining the new analytics. So it says you can get more insight into how your product bundles are performing with metrics in new analytics. So because of the big new analytics revamp that was talked about last editions, and I think it's going to be talked about a little bit later in this editions, we have some new reporting tools that are available. So if you're using bundles, Shopify bundles, to sell more products, there's going to be more reports like monitoring the metrics of the total sales by the bundle or total sales by the bundle component and other things like that. Speaking of bundles, we have a little bit of a revamp, kind of the way the admin has been updated here. Nothing super over the top here, but just a little small update. The product bundles and their components are now represented more consistently across emails, the order details page, orders, and more. And the order summary here shows us the bundle. So we can see that if you never used it before, we have a shoe bundle, which is one single line item. And then in that bundle, where the customer's only selected one in this case, we have 3 items in that bundle. One high top, one crew sock, one laces. And this is a much more streamlined look to the admin, to the checkout, to the details page. We see 2 little updates there to the admin coming up here, and I'm sure we'll see more. Okay, an interesting update here. Again, we're combining multiple products so that they work together, the theme of this edition. So it says smart collections are based on taxonomy attributes. So it says create smart collections based on product attributes in Shopify's product taxonomy, such as material and color. So what this is saying is when we're talking about collections, there's 2 ways that you can really make a collection. You can do it automatically, you can do it manually by selecting the exact products that you want in the bundle, naming the bundle. So when you're making a smart collection or an automatic collection, you set that collection by a bunch of rules. And so what they're doing here is that they're using Shopify's product taxonomy classification system, and they're adding the more rules, it seems, to the automatic collections, such as material and color and these sort of things. Product classification, like material, like color, that comes in the product taxonomy. Previously, collections were only based on maybe like product name or variant name or price or weight and these things. So now using the product taxonomy gives us a lot more ability to create some smart and automatic collections. A small little update coming to the admin here as well, and the Shopify subscriptions app, where it says you can edit, remove, or add subscriptions directly from the product details page in the admin, not just the Shopify subscription app. So I think that makes sense. Another demonstration of how different products working together. So our Shopify subscription app working with the admin more streamlined, where instead of just creating, editing, and removing subscriptions from the app, you can actually go to the orders, or not the orders, the product tab and the product page and go to that specific product that has the subscription instead of going to apps and subscriptions. Custom meta fields for product categories. You can assign your own meta fields to only apply to specific product categories to extend the standard attributes in Shopify's taxonomy to better fit your store. Again, meta fields are just an area to input specific details. Like if you're making a product page and you have your title and you have your description, those are 2 meta fields. The title is a meta field that is specific to that product and to that product page. The description for that product is another meta field where you input descriptions and it is displayed in a certain way for this specific product only, and it's displayed on the product page. That's what a meta field is. Meta fields can come in all different shapes and sizes. They can be product meta fields, customer meta fields, all kinds of different meta fields. And so This is all about just defining very specific information for a very specific area. So all this update is saying is that you can create your own meta fields to extend the Shopify's taxonomy to better fit your store and better fit your attributes and better fit your category of the product. Okay, this is a fun little update here. It says oversell protection for subscription renewals. So using within the Shopify subscription app now respects your inventory settings when renewing subscriptions. So a lot of the time, if you have a renewal, if you have a subscription will take inventory every week, every month, every year, whenever the subscription is renewed. And so inventory is a little tricky because the inventory of the product and the subscription app really have to work together so that there's no disruptions to the customer's order. And so basically this update is saying that if there is an inventory problem, merchant will be told right away and it will be given recommendations on how to solve it. This update here in the corner talks about the search and discovery app, and that's a way that you can set filters on your online store. So this app is actually now referring to the shop marketplace, the shop online sales channel. And it says that the custom search filters that you set up in the search and discovery app for your online store are now synced with your shop marketplace online store. So the two will work together more seamlessly. So the filters that you set up, and sometimes the filters can be created through meta fields as well, and they can be quite complex. They automatically sync to your shop store now, which improves how customers browse in the app and helps you not have to create two filters in two different spots. This is a really small update, but it makes a lot of sense here. So again, we're talking about the Shopify Search and Discovery app. One of the things that the Shopify Search and Discovery app does is it helps you create custom filters on your product and catalog pages. So you go to your catalog page and it says sort and it says filter. Sometimes it's a sidebar. Sometimes it's just things on the top. Very important for customers. Now it says you can choose the exact order your category filter values appear using the Shopify Discovery app. So when you're making your filter, it usually creates a drop down of other filters, sort filters, all kinds of features, right? So now this is saying that you can customize the order in which these filters appear. If you want this one at the top, you want this one at the bottom, you want this one at the top or in the middle. This is really important, especially if you have sizes, if you have alphabetical order or numerical order. This is a simple little fix. It should have been there a long time ago. This is something that I've dealt with personally. And so glad to see that you can have these filters appear manually or automatically. So this is a little limitation fix for the Shopify subscription app and discounts on Shopify. So buy X, get Y, also known as BXGY. Discount is a type of discount that you can create on Shopify. However, the limitation previously seems like that if you were making a subscription, you couldn't use the BXGY discount on a subscription. So it's saying you can now offer BXGY discounts for subscriptions, such as offering customers a free gift when they subscribe. So now with subscriptions, you can offer all the discounts available. You can offer a BXGY, you can offer an amount off. You can also offer a free shipping discount for subscriptions. See another update coming to the shop marketplace. So it says customers can now initiate returns and exchanges directly from the order management page in the shop app. If you're not familiar with the shop app is just a massive marketplace that kind of looks like Amazon, it kind of looks like Etsy, just looks like any marketplace. However, all of the merchants on the shop app are Shopify merchants. And so they're Shopify stores. And so a lot of updates have been coming to the shop channel of late. One of them being shop minis and a lot more customizable options to customize the way your shop looks. And so the most recent update here for the shop channel is that customers can now initiate returns directly from the app itself. All right, so that takes care of the online section. The higher up the page, it seems like it's a little more relevant. I almost went through every single update on the online updates there just because I think they affect the most people. As we go down here, it's going to get a little bit more tailored. We might not get into every single one, but now let's move on to retail. So retail, of course, is in-person locations using a POS device, a point of service, point of sale device. And we can see a lot of interesting updates. We can see a piece of hardware here on an iPad. We can see a piece of hardware here. This is from the customer-focused POS piece of hardware you can get. This is the settings from the POS app. And this is an order here on the POS display. So let's look into this. So the first update here isn't exactly new. It was in the changelog a few months ago. So if you watch those videos, you had a little bit of a heads up. But unverified retail returns. Unverified returns just basically means a return without a receipt. I want to return these items. Can I see your receipt? Oh, I don't have a receipt. That's an unverified return. So you now have the ability to enable your retail staff to process returns without a receipt or an order number and refund to a gift card specifically. Just taking the pressure off of the customer, giving the ability to help the customer no matter what. This is an interesting update here. The update isn't too massive, but it's just interesting to introduce the customer-focused point of sale device. So this is a piece of hardware that if you have an online or an in-person location, this is the customer's side. This is what the customer would be looking at. They wouldn't be looking at the giant iPad here. This is what the customer looks at when they're completing their purchase. And it's interesting because this is the POS app, maybe on an iPad or something. It runs on the POS app. This is the customer side, and this comes with a completely different app. So it's interesting to see how these things come together, the different app versions, the different pieces of hardware. But this update specifically says a more customer-focused POS. So it says retail customers will now see a product, thumbnails, more prominent buttons, and the option to select more than one type of receipt in the POS terminal. This is coming from an update for the customer-focused POS app, and it kind of looks like that. So it's fun if you've never seen that before. Interesting little update here for offline payments. You can now accept in-person card payments even if your network is down. Payment information is saved and then processed when your POS is back online. This is a big problem because if you don't have a connection, you don't have internet with your POS device, you kind of really can't do anything. Can't even really contact Shopify support to get help straight from the device if your network is down. Nothing really works. So good to see that there is these backup methods because nobody uses cash. And even though you can get a cash drawer as a piece of hardware if you'd like. Customer meta fields on POS. So you can view, edit, add customer meta fields on Shopify POS, improving the in-store experience while collecting specific customer info. And this is kind of what it looks like to collect customer meta fields when it's kind of all set up. So basically a customer meta field in Shopify are just custom fields that allow you to capture additional information about your buyer that are kind of going above and beyond the basics of like a name and an address and an email that are already collected. And then once these customer meta fields are created and then collected in person, these are saved to the customer's profile within your Shopify admin for further use and further segmentation, further marketing purposes. And so that's really great to see that you can add these and create these right on the POS. We have an interesting update here that says the split screen search is now enabled. The Shopify POS home screen now displays the cart alongside search results and lets you easily add searched items with just a tap. This is interesting that this is here because this was actually talked about, I believe, back in the summer. But again, just interesting to see how the POS app looks like and how it actually functions. If you ever hear the term smart grid, that is a specific POS specific keyword where your apps are kind of sorted into this smart grid, customizable smart grid on one side, and then you have this always open cart on the other side here. The POS app is always changing as new versions come out. A couple of important but not super brand new updates here. Tap to pay on Android and iPhone. You can accept contactless payments on your phone with tap to pay available in even more countries on iPhone and Android with an update coming to the POS app. And then retail customer segments. This is relatively new. It was just announced last month from our changelog update. We saw it, but you can now use location-based filters in customer segments to create personalized marketing campaigns. So that's basically what segments do. And we see a nice little infographic here from the admin of what it is. So we see a customer list here showing 50 of 832 collected customers' information and their email marketing preferences here that show subscribed. They've probably double opted in. And so in the top here, this is how you can create a segment. So you have 832 customers in this segment. As we can see, this is 10% of the customer base. So this is a very large, well-developed store in this case. This update specifically is talking about new location-based filters. If you want to see the specifics of what those two are, you can check out my last monthly changelog update that was just posted. Customer segmentation is the way that you can create very personalized, very tailored, very specific, and precise marketing campaigns. And so using new location-based customer segments kind of looks like this. Actually, one of the filters we can see right here is one of the new ones. So it says customer within distance is one of the new retail-specific customer segments. This is how the segment is created up here, but with the help of Shopify Magic and Shopify AI, you can kind of type in what you'd like, and then it creates the customer segment code right above, and then it creates your segment here. Interesting little update coming to retail, but also understanding the concept of customers and customer lists and subscription options, and then segmenting those customers for precise marketing is really important in e-commerce. And then just some smaller updates. Shopify POS is now available in France. There's a condensed POS display here. App layout in the Shopify POS is more compact and includes model views, helping staff get to the most relevant info faster. As we can see, this is kind of what that looks like. Similar to what the admin looks like. like, but not quite. And then bundles now works with POS, as we talked about at the very beginning in one of our top updates. All right, so we're moving swiftly along here. That's online done, retail done, and now we're on to checkout. So there's always updates coming to checkout, as Shopify always plugs how great their checkout is, how fast their checkout is, and how we can customize their checkout. So really interested to see what we get into here. So the first update here that we see in checkouts is checkout blocks on more pages. It says all plans can now make simple customizations on the thank you and order status pages with the free checkout blocks app. No coding required. So this is a really interesting update because it introduces a really key topic. So for the longest time, the checkout was intentionally made so that you really couldn't edit it. Plus could edit it, Enterprise could edit it, but for core plans, basic, Shopify, advanced plans, you couldn't adjust your checkout at all. This is to ensure that it worked, the payment gateway worked, there were no bad customizations to a really big, complex financial system, and so that transactions went through effortlessly, right? Surprisingly, not too long ago, I believe in the last editions perhaps, or maybe a few months ago, Shopify released checkout blocks to all plans. And so this, again, gives you a simple customization options on the checkout page. Because if you're in your theme editor and you go to your checkout page, there's really no customization options like all the other pages. And this is intentionally done. So it's a little surprising to hear that the checkout blocks app is now available to all plans. And again, this is just to make very simple customizations right now. But simple, I guess, is better than none, where it was for the longest time, specifically on the thank you and the order status pages, as we saw a few months ago. You can check out my update video for that one, as that kind of came out of nowhere. This is what the Shopify checkout blocks app looks like. You can download it. It's free and developed by Shopify that allows you to update your checkout. One of the updates that we touched upon at the very beginning, again, is faster cart and checkout. Cart loading speeds have increased by up to 50% for faster cart and checkout experiences for your customers. So Shopify is always sort of plugging this same idea as a fast cart, a fast checkout, fast admin is really important and really seamless to all businesses. It's something that we as merchants can't control at all. And so it's good to see that Shopify is constantly updating this and constantly plugging this. Up to, unfortunately, is kind of a marketing term for a bunch of tests, and the best we got is this, and we don't really know what up to is. I might make a whole video on what that means, but speed, score, and site speed is important. You can update and edit a lot of areas on your website and optimize for the different speed score analytics. The checkout, the cart, you can't really. Another update that we saw right at the beginning for our checkout is that functions work with draft orders. So checkout customizations that were made using Shopify functions now also apply for draft orders, ensuring a more consistent experience. So Shopify functions is a big developer term, but basically what it's saying here again is that any custom checkout customizations like business rules or routing or checkout specific shipping options or checkout specific or customer specific payment options that are available in the checkout screen are now coming to draft orders. And the way that these things kind of communicate is through functions and APIs. So again, we're seeing products work more seamlessly, better together. So this update is kind of 2-in-1. So it says split shipping is now available. All merchants can offer split shipping in checkout, which is now compatible with third-party apps, fulfillment apps like ShipStation and ShipBob. So the update that split shipping is now available isn't super new. They talked about that last time in summer editions, but I think the compatibility with third-party apps like ShipStation and ShipBob and more is sort of the update. More of the systems working more fluently together. This is interesting that this is literally an advertisement for an actual product if you want to buy. The boring t-shirt. This high quality, reliable shirt seamlessly works with everything to get the job done. Not interested, but thank you very much. Keeping with the theme of faster checkout, it says here that faster accelerated checkout buttons have now been introduced. So accelerated checkout buttons now load 58.8% faster. That seems like a lot. These things are hardly noticeable, but I mean, that's a big improvement on the product details page and support functions and bundles. So an accelerated checkout button is when it says PayPal, when it says, Apple Pay, when it says Shop Pay. Those are accelerated checkout buttons. You have an account specifically for PayPal, Apple, Google, Shop Pay. And if you want to pay with that, you don't have to go all the way to the checkout and fill out your stuff individually. You just click this option that's called an accelerated checkout button. So it says the accelerated checkout buttons are now 58% faster, up to 58.8% faster on the product details page. And that is where they're found, on the product details page. So on your product details page, you usually have like buy now, add to cart. Below that, you have like pay with PayPal or pay with anything applicable. This is an interesting little update I haven't really heard anything about yet. This does say for Plus, but as we know, products are introduced and they come down the ecosystem to other plans quite a bit in Shopify. So it says chat apps in the checkout. Add a helpful chat app to the thank you page using checkout extensions, or if you're on Plus, to any checkout page. So if you're using Shopify Inbox, it's basically a little chat. In the corner, it has live chat support that people can send you a message to ask questions. I suppose Shopify Inbox app doesn't work on checkout or the thank you page using checkout because you can't really edit the checkout. So now it sounds like there are specific apps, chat apps, that you can add to the checkout to help customers in the checkout portion of their journey. Now, this is an interesting update that is kind of hidden in the middle of everything, but I find very interesting. Accelerated checkout preview. See an exact preview of all accelerated checkout buttons like Shop Pay, PayPal, Apple Pay, and more. That's kind of what we just talked about right in this update here in the checkout and accounts editor. So this sounds like there's going to be a specific area, maybe in the accounts editor, maybe in the themes editor, that shows you a preview of what your accelerated checkout buttons look like. Because it's interesting, a lot of the time, an accelerated checkout button won't show if you're on an incompatible device. For example, with Apple Pay only shows if you're on a very specific device, very specific browser. And so how do you know if it's working? How do you test if it's working? You can test, Shopify payments with test credit card numbers that they provide you, or any payment gateway, really. You can usually throw it into test mode and see what it's like. But with accelerated checkout buttons, how do you know it's actually working? So it sounds like this is going to be a really interesting update for sure. All right, a really smart update here, I think. Very straightforward as well. Draft order price locking. So it says guarantee prices quoted in draft orders by locking the price until the order is complete, even when a price changes in your catalog. So if something goes on sale, like the boring t-shirt, the draft order can lock the price or the quoted price for the specific checkout, and then you can still feel free to change the boring t-shirt's price, and that won't affect the draft order as the price has been locked. Another small little update here talking about speed of the checkout. So it says smoother checkout loading. Customers can start interacting with checkout page more than 1 second sooner with new animations and asynchronous loading of customizations. This sounds like a lot of words and not really an important update, but it's basically going into detail about how the cart page and the checkout page work seamlessly together. And so the animations and the way these loads and the asynchronous loading of customizations have been updated so that the speed of the interactivity between these two pages is a lot faster. That's important for conversion. They talked about previously extensions working with draft orders, and it looks like, just to clarify, that this update is exclusive to Plus at the moment. This little update is starting to talk about specific APIs, which is more developer stuff, so we won't get into that one, but this one's a small little update here at the bottom. Extend cart expiration. The cart's lifetime has been increased to boost customer conversions. That's an interesting topic of discussion, to be honest, because the browser that the customer is using and the device that they're using and the cookies that are retained in that browser settings, if they're using an incognito tab or a private tab, this all affects if the cart will expire or if you can come back to the cart. And that's why remarketing with abandoned cart emails might be even more better than an extended cart expiration. But basically all this update is saying is that the cart's lifetime has been increased to boost customer conversion. So if customer gets distracted, they go somewhere else, then they come back to it, the time in which that is kept is saved, which is great. Something that might be even more impactful though is your abandoned cart emails, because then that goes back to specifically to the customer's email address, and that negates what device they're using, or maybe they're using a work device or a public device. It goes right to them. I suppose this really helps if the customer hasn't inputted an email address, as the email automation will only work if the customer inputs their email address. If there's no email address, the automation won't trigger because there's nowhere to send to. So extending the cart expiration, the cart's lifetime has been increased to boost customer conversions, is interesting to look into. So we have online done, retail done, checkout done, and now we're into marketing. So the biggest update, as we've already looked into at the very top of Shopify Winter Editions, is the customer account extension. So we can personalize customer accounts without using code, using apps like you do in your checkout. You can add powerful functionality like order management, returns, subscriptions, and more. So the customer account page kind of does a lot of these things, but it doesn't really have the ability to apply extensions, apply formatting, apply useful apps that the customer will need. And it's not really an area that maybe you would think to customize all too much. But the customer account is obviously the area where the customer looks at all their information. They create an account with you, and then they log into the account, and then all of the information that shows under their account is what we're talking about here. And this is an interesting update because I don't see much about any plan specific limitations, and I also haven't really heard about this before. So this is a great update to hear. A fun little email update here to the Shopify email app where you can send holiday email templates just in time for the holidays. You can send emails with the new templates in Shopify email and add urgency with a countdown timer section for sales and shipping windows. So obviously countdowns, deadlines, shipping times, all very important when it comes to the holidays. And so the Shopify email app is a free and made and developed Shopify app for all your email marketing needs and automations, and no matter what email app you are using, whether that's Klaviyo or MailChimp or anything else, they all come with a lot of templates. And so within the Shopify email app, they're saying they've added new holiday templates, and they've also included this countdown timer extension, which is fun. Okay, so this is an interesting update for Shopify Inbox. So it says suggested replies are now available. You can now quickly answer customer questions with AI generated suggested replies in Shopify Inbox in English only. So Shopify Inbox is a free made and developed app. It's more for customer service. It adds a little chat bot in the corner of your screen. You can do live chats with customers. You can send them carts within those live chats. And then, of course, if you're not offline or you have your business hours set, you can continue conversations kind of in an email format with Shopify Inbox. This update, referring to Shopify's Magic and Shopify AI's suggested replies, honestly, I've kind of lost track of because it seems like this is always brought up. It now says it's now available, which is good to hear, but I honestly thought it was already available. But now for sure, as we can see this box here, Shopify Inbox, AI generated suggested replies are now available in English only. So a lot of the time these things are plan specific, country specific, or language specific. We can see here this is in English only, but basically the AI could be trained or can read information on your website to answer questions that are maybe found in your FAQ or in your policies, and then generate suggested replies to customer questions, taking the load off of your customer service. This little update over here talks about Shopify Audiences. Shopify Audiences, an exclusive plus product. I don't know if we'll ever see Audiences come down the pipeline, but it's just a way of running very specific ads, tailored ads within Shopify. So we're not going to get really into that because it's exclusive to Plus. Same thing with this little update. Shoppable ads on Roku kind of ties into Shopify Audience and the ads. And so anything to kind of do with these ads on Shopify, I believe is Plus. So we're just not going to get into that. However, Shop Campaigns here, Shop Campaigns for all. You can acquire new customers and scale paid advertising efforts on Google, Meta, and more with low lift, risk-free Shop Campaigns available on all plans, but only in the US and in Canada at this point. So Shop Campaigns, as the name kind of infers, is the Shop channel campaigns. So using customers who have Shop, use the Shop app marketplace, have Shop accounts, use Shop Pay on Shop. You can run specific ads using Shop Campaigns, and you scale with paid advertising efforts on different platforms, combining Shop Campaigns and paid advertising third party. Ooh, this is a little fun one, talking about so much serious stuff. This is interesting. You can add a photo or an avatar to your Shopify Inbox experience. So add a profile photo for more personal chats with customers and more easily manage your spam with Shopify Inbox. So there's a new avatar section in Shopify Inbox. Shopify Inbox, again, our customer service free made and developed app. And we can see there's a little avatar section here now that displays. These two updates here are a little bit one and the same. It's just talking about adding more customizations, adding more branding to customer accounts, menus, links, thank you pages, login pages, and these sort of things. This is really true because a lot of pages on your website, you can easily add your colors, add your branding, add your logo and these things, add your typography. But then there's some pages that you just didn't have the ability to do that, like your thank you page, like your order page, and then your login pages. They just didn't have this ability. So it almost made your website look broken because there was this holistic view of the brand cohesively across all pages. And then you have like account menu links and login pages that just couldn't have this ability. So now we have the ability, it seems like. So make sure you check on those. This is an interesting update here to Shopify email that was released a few months back, or it was announced a few months back in our changelog update, where it says you can effortlessly make product emails straight from the product details page. So again, this is kind of the same thing we're seeing for the subscription, and we're seeing the general theme overall in this edition is products working well together. So instead of having to go to Shopify email and creating a product specific email, you can go to the product page and make a product specific email that way. A similar update here for shop campaigns. Once again, only available in the US and Canada at this time, but an interesting little automated marketing campaign here where you can target and convert lapsed customers based on their last transaction date with shop campaigns. And we see a nice little picture here of what this looks like. Targeting, what do you want to target? New customers, lapsed customers, and then time for the last order is 3 months. Nice and simple there. Because sometimes creating customer segments just on a basic thing like this, lapsed customers or win back promotions, is a little difficult segmenting customers in the admin. So we can see this update for a win back campaign, specifically for shop campaigns in the shop channel. And this is an interesting demonstration here of the marketing automation and Flow app connections here. So the update says you can now trigger automations when customers join or leave a segment in Shopify Flow. So a lot of the marketing automations found within Shopify email have now been moved over to Shopify Flow. Any automations is all kind of being consolidated into Shopify Flow. So we can see this is an example of what you see in Shopify Flow. So there's all kinds of triggers and automations and if conditions and actions. And we can see this kind of laid out nicely here. So we can see that this flow starts when a customer joins a VIP shopper segment. Then once they join that, we are telling the flow, specifically email marketing, Shopify email app here, to send an email marketing email saying, welcome to the VIP club. And so this is a very simple example of how flow can work. 2 steps, 2 stages. Flows can be really, really long and complex. And there's also a huge Shopify Flow template library to help you look into these. But a lot of updates coming to Flow. When I'm doing my monthly changelog video, lots and lots of updates are consistently coming to Flow. So it might be a good time to start looking into that if you have never looked into that before. This is a really interesting update here. It was again announced in our changelog update not too long ago, but it introduces a lot of interesting topics again. So it specifically talks about meta fields and Shopify forms. So meta field control for forms. So select with fields in Shopify forms map to customer meta fields, providing more control over what information is added to customer profiles. And we have this nice little graphic here to demonstrate what's happening. So this is a much more simplified view of how you can create, in this case, a customer meta field. Remember, a meta field is just a very specific piece of information being displayed somewhere very specifically. So in this case, what we're doing is we're creating a form. Shopify Forms is an free made and developed app that allows you to show a pop-up on a screen on your website to collect usually an email, but we can collect all kinds of different information to store in the customer specific. In this case, we're creating a single line text meta field, which is right here, your favorite color, for example. So it will display, ask the customer what their favorite color is. It says there's a minimum character option here and a maximum character option here. And so the customer will be presented with this form from Shopify Forms. And this way we can collect their favorite color. Then we can use that information for different sort of marketing efforts. And this can be for whatever. This can be their birthday. This can be favorite season. This can be anything, anything at all to save in the customer fields. And this is how you can collect these things. In fact, it says here, which is interesting, as this is kind of just a constant transition that's been occurring for months and months and months, that the Flow marketing automations, all the marketing automation templates are now powered by Shopify Flow and are available in the template library. You can create your own ones if you'd like. You can edit templates from the library, but all automations, like if you were using Shopify email previously and going to automations, it's all now within the Flow. All automations are consolidated to Shopify Flow. And then just 3 quick Shopify emails since we're wrapping up the marketing section of Shopify Editions. Talking about Shopify email, and Shopify email. The first one here talks about custom UTMs. UTMs are basically, as it says, parameters here that are used to track information and analytics for specific email campaigns. So for example, you can track the source that sent the traffic to your online store, what specific link was used to drive traffic to your online store, or another example is like, what specific campaign a visitor clicked that sent them to the store. This is what custom UTMs do. And so it now says you can now set custom UTM parameters for Shopify email campaigns that will apply to all links in an email and work with third-party reporting tools. Third-party reporting tools can be Google Ads or Facebook Ads or anything like this. If you're using a third-party email app, sometimes comes with their own analytics. So tracking email UTMs and analytics per email campaign is really important because you're not sending email campaigns for no specific reason. You're sending email campaigns for a specific business reason and gathering data on how to optimize that next time. Then, because we're talking about emails and we're talking about analytics, it says there is now an option to compare email return on investments. That's what our ROI is. We can see how your Shopify email campaigns are performing with spend and return on investment metrics now built into your marketing analytics dashboard. So when you're sending campaigns and you're sending marketing efforts, you can click your specific email marketing campaign for metrics like open rate, bounce rate, flag rate, spam rate, visit, sessions, and these things. Now it seems like you can see more specific analytics within the same dashboard. And then email image editing. So your email images using the same editing tools available elsewhere in the admin, like crop, resize, without leaving the Shopify email app. Just a small optimization there. So we're done online, retail, checkout, and marketing, and now we're into wholesale. Again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, wholesale is B2B. And if you ever see B2B, anything to do with B2B, B2B is a plus only feature. So we don't really cover anything plus on this channel. So for now, we're just going to skip that. But if you'd like, I'll do a slow scroll here. Sometimes there are products that are added to Plus that come down the pipeline quite quickly. And so learning about those things, even though there's a lot of information here already, can be useful. But for now, we're just going to do a slow scroll past it so we can land into global. So I haven't really heard of the term global before, but I think this is just going to be a mix and a mash of all kinds of things like taxes and markets and everything for global merchants. So let's take a look here. So this first update here says natural search in more languages. Customers around the globe can now search using everyday language with semantic search. So semantic search was a really big update that came out a few editions ago. I actually did a full video on that, so check out my channel for that. Semantic search is a feature within the search and discovery Shopify app. It's basically a way of the systems and the AI understanding the search query instead of just searching for specific keywords to show more relevant results to the search that the person has inputted. And so now it looks like it's saying that semantic search is now covering a lot more customers around the globe while using everyday languages, 4 more languages, as the picture here indicates, a different language other than English. And I believe when it was launched, it was only English at the time. So we can see again the trickle down effect for Shopify products when they're introduced. This is interesting here on the right side, and we might see again a little trickle down from this, but new payment options for managed markets. So managed markets offer more local payment methods, including Band Contact, GrabPay, KCP, and Twint, and Vips, and all these things. So again, managed markets is one tier above regular markets. It's a paid service, and it uses something called a merchant of record. And so payment options, specifically local payment options, are when you're specifically targeting a market or a country or a continent, and they have very popular local payment methods. So these are very common in a lot of different countries, especially countries like in Europe, where if you're specifically targeting a specific country, they might have local payment methods like Band Contact, or they might use Twint a lot, or they might use Vips a lot. And so if you're targeting that specific country, you best be sure that you offer the local payment methods, because that's what those customers are most comfortable paying with. So this update is talking about those new local payment methods coming to managed markets. It looks like a lot of these updates are specifically for managed markets. Like we can see here, order editing works with managed markets. Now lets you easily update existing orders to better support international customers. And we can see the adjustment of this quantity is being edited. There's some increased shipping insurance for managed markets. Shipping labels, you cover against loss, damages, or theft up to $200 with the option to purchase up to $5,000 for the Shopify plan and above. So again, a very specific update for those using managed markets and only for the Shopify plan and above when you're buying shipping labels for managed markets. And then also here, lastly, it says duties are included in prices. All managed market merchants can now reduce surprises at checkout by including international duties and taxes as part of the product price. These updates here were included in the changelog, so not super new, but kind of consolidated into this global section of this admin. We can see there's a more localized Shopify experience for Europe and Japan for better translations in the admin and more regional experiences. Not much more information on there. And then lastly here, we see automated privacy settings. We can improve compliance with privacy settings that automatically update when you sell in new markets or make changes to your store. All right, so online done, retail done, checkout done, marketing done, wholesale looked over, global done, and now we're at shipping. So we're almost at the end here, guys. because we're not going to be covering developers here at the bottom. So we have shipping, operations, and finance last. These are always here in every edition. So the first update here in our shipping category is unified fulfillment logics. We're seeing that unified word being used quite a bit here with the overall theme of the boring edition, which says your order routing, fulfillment settings, and others are applied across subscriptions, draft orders, invoices, and imported orders to prevent overselling. So again, another example of how products are starting to work together. Routing rules is something we haven't touched on this video. So routing rules, as we can see here, help determine which locations are assigned to fulfill an order. And so the routing rules could be location capacity, ship from closest location, minimize split fulfillments. So what happens here is that you click and drag, this is from the admin, these little dots, and this gives priority of what you want to do. If you really want to prioritize shipping from the closest location over minimize split fulfillments to maybe reduce shipping costs, you can adjust these routing rules in the settings. So this update is just talking about how the order routing and the fulfillment settings can apply better to subscriptions and draft orders, improving a lot of areas there at the same time. This is an interesting little update. It says consolidated view for delivery methods. So we see all delivery methods per location in one view, allowing you to easily navigate, deactivate, or configure your delivery methods. Okay, that's actually really, really good. So there's definitely, it's sounding like going to be an update to the admin in the locations and the shipping settings, because there's location settings, there's shipping and delivery, then there's pickup settings, local delivery settings, and all these things. It does feel like things are a little scattered all over the place. So it seems like if you're in your location settings, looks like that's a location in the background there, you can then adjust the shipping, pickup, local delivery, and pickup points per location. So I feel like that'll help a lot. This was an update that came out a little bit ago in the changelog that says you can streamline bulk label creation. It's talking about buying shipping labels from Shopify, using that Shopify discount to buy your specific shipping labels. I mentioned this again in the changelog video a little bit back, but just be sure if you're buying a lot of shipping labels in bulk, just keep in mind that there's a secondary threshold billing within Shopify. And if you breach that threshold and you don't pay for that threshold, you actually won't be able to pay for any shipping labels until that threshold billing is paid for. So just be careful of that so you don't get caught off surprise. Okay, this is an interesting app that I think affects a lot of people. It's talking about app fulfillments. So fulfillment app uninstall options. So you can now have more options for how to handle inventory stored at third-party locations or app managed locations when uninstalling a fulfillment app. So a lot of stores are going to have fulfillment apps connecting their supplier to their Shopify stores. And so it looks like the problem is that when you uninstall an app, but maybe still carry that product, or maybe that app still holds inventory somewhere, it can be a little bit of a problem because you've uninstalled the app and yet your store is still set up to hold inventory from it. So it seems like before you uninstall the app, you have the ability to transfer inventory to another location or another app so that you still have access to the inventory within your Shopify admin and not leaving this residual, uneditable inventory from an app that you've already uninstalled from a supplier. And these two updates are really nice and straightforward. You can file a shipping claim right in Shopify. So save time by filing damaged or missing Shopify shipping insurance claims directly from the admin. So that means when you buy a shipping label straight from Shopify for a specific order, after the order is sent, and if there's an issue with maybe a damaged or missing item for that shipment, you just go back to the same order line item and then you select it. And then there's an option in the order menu that says file a shipping claim right in the admin. And then address validation everywhere. We were talking about this just last changelog update video on the channel, where this address validation tool that was first introduced in the checkout to make sure customers are inputting a relevant and real checkout is now everywhere, as it says. So address validation is now everywhere across the admin, including in draft orders, shipping labels, customer profiles, B2B company locations, and many, many more. And so we have a nice little infographic here again of what that is. Pretty straightforward. This is seen all over the place. So for example, this customer Zuri has inputted this New York Queens address. There's a little warning here that gives a suggestion that the actual city that would work better for shipping couriers to make sure that the shipping goes right to them is to put New York here instead of Queens. This is a pretty big update here that I'm surprised isn't higher up on this update or seen in the changelog at all. So new shipping carriers are now available in Europe through Shopify Shipping. So you can buy labels from shipping carriers in more countries, including DHL Packet in Germany and Yodel in the UK. So it kind of looks like this. When you're buying a shipping label through Shopify, you select the order, and then it takes you through this process. Shipping labels, it looks like in this specific example, there's 5 shipping labels for DHL Packet that we're buying in bulk. And then we buy the 5 shipping labels, and that's charged to our Shopify account. But this is really interesting because, for the longest time, there just wasn't any more carriers. And obviously, there's a lot of business in Europe. So this is if you are in that specific country, sending it to somewhere else, you would use your local shipping carrier. So for example, in Canada, there's Canada Post. In the US, there's USPS. In Australia, there's Sendle, there's Every, there's Italian Post, there's Sendle in Australia. And now it seems like there's more. So there's Yodel in the UK and DHL Packet in Germany. So that's really interesting. Really, really good update there. Again, surprised that it's kind of hidden like this. Just a couple smaller updates to wrap up this shipping section. So it says the shipped store is now available. So you allow customers to buy items online, have them shipped to their preferred store for pickup by enabling store transfers, now available on all plans. There's better rates for small items. This is specifically for the US, and this is specifically for UPS Ground and UPS Ground Saver, I should say. We just talked about this in our changelog video as well, because it spurred my memory because I had an issue previously with UPS Ground Saver where there was 3 addresses on a label, and I couldn't understand why. There wasn't a to and a from. There was a to, and a from. And so it reminded me of that video that I made back in the day for UPS Ground Saver. But better discounts are available for small items for UPS Ground Saver, and this is for the United States only. This is another interesting update that we talked about in our changelog most recently, where it says there are multiple fulfillment hold statuses. So a single order can now have multiple fulfillments hold, offering more clarity into the reasons why it's on hold and reducing errors in your automation workflow. So this is more talking about, again, if you have a third-party app for a supplier, and you request fulfillment, you go to the order and you click request fulfillment, and for whatever reason, there's a hold. There was a list of reasons in our changelog update. So if you want to check this one out specifically, I highly recommend going and checking out that video on my channel. And we're on our second last category here, moving into operations. Okay, so right off the bat, we have actually a really great update here. So it says organizations are now available for all plans. Now everyone can group stores into a single organization to more efficiently manage staff in one place and consolidate to a single bill. How interesting. So an organization, I know this because I personally run multiple Shopify stores. I've been doing so for a long time. And so this is going to help people who run multiple Shopify stores. So an organization is actually a term that they use in Shopify Plus because Shopify Plus is kind of its whole new thing. But basically, one of the things in Shopify Plus is if you have Shopify Plus organization, you can control multiple Plus stores from one single organization view. And that's what's been missing just from core plans for the longest time. So this operations update is a really good one. If you have multiple stores, you can now control all your stores instead of logging into multiple stores, which you've been doing with. You can now just log into your organization, no matter what plan you're on, and you can control a variety of tasks just from your organization view. Now, keep in mind, this isn't for everything. This is for a very specific subset of actions. So we can hear it specifically talks about managing staff here in users and consolidating single bills in billing. It talks a little bit more about a few other areas, but I don't believe you're going to be able to manage every little intricate detail from an organizational view. Organizational view is a very top level view of multiple stores, and consolidating things like all your stores bill into one single organization bill or managing staff from one single organization view can definitely help with that. But if you run multiple Shopify stores, this is something you should definitely look into. There's a lot of updates here in operations, and we're not going to jump into every single one. But one that is definitely interesting to point out is the new analytics rolling out. So you might already see this on your Shopify stores. New analytics tab, new analytics tools were advertised last edition. It just seemed really slow to get published, to get going. A lot of the time at these editions, an idea is projected and then it says coming out soon or it's in early access. And I was just expecting it to be rolled out so much earlier. But now we can see that the new analytics is now rolling out. Get more customized insights using the metrics and dimensions you choose with new analytics now rolling out to everyone. This is a pretty major overhaul of the analytics. If you look into the history of this update, it's not just an admin update, because the new analytics are a lot more colorful and the graphs are a lot more colorful and things are a little bit different. But under the hood, there's a lot more rolling out to make the new analytics even better. Keep in mind, if you're comparing different analytical platforms, like you're using Google Analytics and Facebook Ad Analytics and Shopify Analytics, that these are most likely not going to line up, just because different analytical platforms use different attribution models. And so that's expected. But interesting to see what the new analytics not only look like, but also how much improved they are. We have a lot of Shopify Flow updates, as we see every single month. So this is just kind of a recap of all the ones that have been coming out recently. Meta objects trigger in Flow. There's some Flow run troubleshooting. There's a new return automation in Flow featuring new return triggers, actions, and templates. You can automate more tasks in Flow without any custom calls. We're talking about a little bit more API and developer stuff here. And you can search Flow runs in the admin very quickly, right from the admin page you're on, like an order and a product page. Then, carrying on a little bit from our organization update here, right below it says you can assign more permissions for files, like assigning staff permissions for managing files, allowing specific people to create, delete, edit, or view files. And then you can also access staff roles. So you can assign role-based access controls are now rolling out. So you can easily and securely give staff access by assigning them multiple roles. And so if we see in the screenshot here, we see this new setting called roles, and we can search different store roles like customer support, which can fulfill orders, edit order line items, process payments and returns, or there's a marketer role that can create, edit, and launch campaigns. So instead of assigning specific permissions, it seems like this role is just kind of this pre-made template of permissions. Instead of checking off all the individual permissions and the checkboxes in the staff and accounts settings, we have these roles to help consolidate that a lot better, because there's a lot of permissions, and then in each permission there's a subset of permissions. So going into all of those is a little difficult, and sometimes you don't want to just blindly assign all the permissions just because you don't have time to look into it. So I think this role will really consolidate that. It's just really unfortunate that Shopify changed their plan so that you can't have staff accounts on anything higher, anything lower than the Shopify plan. Like, you can't have staff accounts on the starter plan. You can't have staff accounts on the basic plan. And it used to be the case. That was a recent update. And I just really hope they bring that back, because to be honest, when you're running an e-commerce store in today's day and age, you do need a little bit of help. And running an account with friends or family or colleagues is kind of what e-commerce is all about. So I really hope that they change that soon and bring it back to the most basic plans. But right here at the bottom, so hidden away, I suppose we don't have an AI grouping here this year. But one of the biggest stories for Shopify, ever since Shopify's summer editions in 2023, so almost a year and a half later, is Sidekick. Sidekick is rolling out your personal AI-powered assistant. Sidekick is rolling out in English to merchants around the globe. So again, Sidekick was Shopify Magic's and Shopify AI's biggest, baddest product that they announced, the summer editions 2023. And it was announced, and then it was in pre-trial and sign up for pre-trials and sign up for early access for the longest time. And now we're finally seeing it being actually rolled out to merchants in English. So Sidekick is, if you don't know or you don't remember, Sidekick is your AI assistant within your Shopify admin. So we see AI kind of everywhere nowadays, and there's AI tools and AI apps, everything. Sidekick is an AI that lives specifically in your store's admin, and it knows and it can do stuff based on your store's options, no one else's stores. It can be asked questions, general questions, and have general answers as well. But Sidekick has always been presented and marketed as an assistant that can actually do things for you, like create a discount code starting this Friday for 20% off this collection, and it'll just do it. Segment customers doing this, give me ideas to do this, and it can do a lot of things for you. Founder of CEO basically said that entrepreneurs are heroes, and every hero needs a sidekick, and that's how this name came out. And so if you are English-based merchant, you might be because you're watching this video, check out the new AI-powered assistant Sidekick. You can be sure that I'll be making some videos on Sidekick coming up, because after a few years of it being such top of news, this small little update here in the corner is all we get. And now we are in the very small finance section of Shopify Editions Winter 2025. We definitely have noticed this unified finance tab, which is everywhere. So more easily you can view and manage all your business's finances from the admin or the Shopify app with a new comprehensive finance homepage. Yes, so we can see this. This is on the mobile app. But I have some experience with different countries' stores. And I noticed for the longest time that this finance tab was only available in some of my US stores. And so now all stores have this finance home. And the finance is where you can see, of course, your payouts, your balance account if you're in the US, any taxes that are being set aside for your balance account in the US. But this finance tab is right in the admin. It's right on the same left side panel like orders and homepage and analytics. You'll now see finance instead of having to go to settings, payments, payment gateways, payouts. You can go straight to finances here because payouts are one of the most important things in e-commerce, of course. Now, this is one of the biggest updates that I've seen in a while that was just released on this past changelog. So it is very, very new. It's Shopify Tax automated filing. So Shopify Tax now automates the preparation, filing, and remittance of your sales tax returns in the US. Streamline compliance and save time and money. So as it says there, Shopify Tax is Shopify's biggest tax product that is constantly expanding. It just got expanded to the UK and a lot of countries in Europe. But Shopify Tax used to always have this hard line in the sand where it will not remit taxes for you, no matter where you are, no matter what country you are in, no matter how you registered your business. Now we're seeing this change just a little bit, and I think this will help a lot of people. So Shopify Tax now automates the preparation, filing, and most importantly, the remittance of your sales tax returns in the US, streamline compliance and save time, money. And we see a little screenshot here with a filing period at the top for December 2024, the total tax due, the scheduling, and the tax return specific information here, specific to states as well, depending on your tax liability. Now, the biggest bummer with this is that when I was talking about this in my most recent changelog video update, you can see more details of that in the changelog video that I just posted. This is free up to a certain point. And then I believe starting next year, it comes with a fee. Don't know how much that fee is. Don't know if there's threshold fees. Don't know if it's, based on how many orders or how much preparation and filing a remittance you are doing. I'm sure that fee will change depending on how complicated or least complicated the tax is for you. But again, this is only for the US right now. Understandable in this case, but definitely something to check out because that hard line has now been crossed where for the longest time it was like, we do not remit your sales tax for you. And it's strange just because a lot of platforms do. Like a lot of platforms, business hosting companies, they do. They already help remit your taxes because sales tax, personal sales tax, business sales tax, and all these things, they can be quite complicated. So it's good to see that this hard line has finally been crossed. Definitely something to check out for a lot of people. Of course, I just mentioned Shopify Tax is now in the EU and UK, and this is also a really, really big deal. I don't want to undermine this. It's just that it came out a little while ago and I made a whole video on it. But Shopify Tax is now available in the EU, UK, simplifying VAT compliance with automated calculations, liability tracking, reporting, and VAT invoicing. This is really important because taxes, as we know, are charged very differently all over the globe. So in the EU and the UK, they use a VAT tax system. In the United States, in Canada, and Australia, they don't. They use different systems. So it's interesting to see the Shopify Tax product is being expanded in different ways because you can tell it's very, very complex. So if you don't know about Shopify Tax, I would break down Shopify Tax in two very distinct ways. So the first thing that Shopify Tax does is that it helps you determine your tax liability by tracking kind of the areas that you're selling to. So in the US, each state has their own tax liability. And this depends on the amount of orders you send to that state or how much monetary value from the sales you're getting from those states. These breach thresholds, and that determines your liability to certain areas. Your liability is determined on the products you're selling and then the location you're in. If you have multiple locations, POS locations, these sort of things. If you just are an online business and you have a business address in one area, you usually have that tax liability for that one area, and then Shopify Tax will track and calculate and let you know of new liability appearing in different states. Second thing Shopify Tax does really well is it helps automate when tax rates change. It also has the ability, if you need and if you'd like, if you know your tax rate, you can set a flat rate. You don't have to use Shopify tax if you don't want, because over a certain amount of orders, you have to pay a little fee for it. But Shopify tax does a really good job keeping track of when tax rates change. And tax rates can change for a lot of things. They can change per city, per county, per state, per country. And so when these things changes, when governments changes, it's very hard to keep track of these things. And so Shopify tax does a great job doing that for you. That's kind of the ins and outs of Shopify tax. Now available in the EU and UK. It used to only be for the US, for people in the US selling to the US. Then it got expanded to anybody in the world selling to the US. Now it got expanded to EU, UK, and all kinds of things. So I think that's the main thing I take away from this finance section. A lot of Shopify tax updates. As we can see, some smaller updates like easier document submission for Shopify Capital and more ways to pay with your Shopify credit. And these are different financial products that Shopify offers. And then we also see some Shopify Balance for Plus updates here. And then below that, we have all of our developer stuff that we don't really cover on this channel, as it's talking about keywords. If you ever see keywords like hydrogen or oxygen or GraphQL or functions or any of these things, GitHub, these are all developer stuff, and we just don't really cover that on this channel. So that means that we are done. Shopify Editions Winter 25, the boring edition, 150 plus updates, everything you need to know to operating, running, growing, scaling your Shopify stores. If you made it to the end of this video, I really hope you enjoyed. I really hope you learned something. I hope you are excited to implement a lot of these changes and are excited for things that are upcoming. If you really like this video, give the video a like so I know, as again, I'm a fellow Shopify entrepreneur that turned to a Shopify educator, and I just like helping fellow Shopify entrepreneurs in any way. And these summer and winter editions are a huge part of that. They're super important. And in this case, they're a lot of fun with their themes and their little t-shirt gags and the TV and all kinds of things. So really well-rounded editions. Like I said, usually winter is a little bit more subdued editions, just from my personal experience, than summer. If you really like this update and you want to keep up to date on next summer editions coming usually around June, July, August, I can't exactly remember when, hit that subscribe button. You know I'll be covering it. If you want to join a free Shopify community of fellow Shopify entrepreneurs full of how-to videos, key updates, monthly changelog updates, and of course, a bunch of some Shopify Editions coverage, hit that subscribe button. My name is PC. Thank you so much for watching. And if you subscribe, I'll see you in the next video.